The West never really forgets its monsters. It just teaches them how to wear better suits. And now, from the dust of Texas to the neon glow of Las Vegas, a new Yellowstone-era legend is rising. Power is changing hands, old rules are breaking, and one man is about to rewrite the meaning of control. This is not just a sequel. This is Blood Aces, where the Yellowstone spirit learns how to gamble with blood, loyalty, and destiny. The Yellowstone universe has always been about one simple truth. Power is never given, it is taken. Blood Aces carries that truth forward, but this time, the battlefield is not just land or cattle, it is influence, money, and fear. The story opens in a world that feels familiar to Yellowstone fans, yet dangerously new. Texas is changing fast. Old ranches are being swallowed by ambition, backroom deals are shaping the future, and men who once solved problems with fists and guns are now learning how to rule with contracts, casinos, and calculated violence. At the center of this storm stands Benny Binion, a man cut from the same ruthless cloth as the Duttons, but forged in a different fire. Benny does not inherit power. He builds it piece by piece, with risk as his religion and control as his obsession. Like John Dutton, he believes the world only respects strength. Like Rip Wheeler, he understands loyalty, but only when it is earned through fear and respect. Benny is not a hero, and he never pretends to be. He is a survivor, and in his world, survival means staying 3 moves ahead of everyone else. Blood Aces feels like Yellowstone because it understands the same moral gray. There are no clean hands here. Every rise comes with a cost, and every victory leaves blood on the floor. Benny's journey begins in Texas, where crime and opportunity walk side by side. This is a place where law is flexible, justice is negotiable, and reputation is everything. Benny learns early that hesitation is weakness. While others dream small, he dreams in empires. He watches powerful men fall not because they lack money, but because they lack vision. What makes this story dangerous is not just Benny's ambition, but the timing of his rise. America is shifting. Old Western values are colliding with modern greed. Gambling, once hidden in shadows, is becoming a public obsession. Benny sees the future before anyone else does. Where others see chaos, he sees structure. Where others see crime, he sees industry. And just like the Duttons fought to protect their land, Benny fights to control an idea: that fortune belongs to the bold. The tension in Blood Aces does not come from explosions or gunfights alone. It comes from choices. Every move Benny makes pulls him deeper into a world where trust is rare and betrayal is inevitable. Allies become threats, friends become liabilities, and enemies don't always announce themselves. This is the kind of power that isolates a man, turning him into a myth while quietly destroying what little humanity he has left. For Yellowstone fans, the emotional pull is unmistakable. This is the same universe of hard men, impossible decisions, and legacies built on sacrifice. Blood Aces doesn't replace Yellowstone. It expands it. It asks a darker question: what happens when the cowboy era ends, and the outlaw learns how to run the system instead of fighting it? By the end of this chapter, one thing is clear. Benny Binion is not just playing the game, he is building the table. And once the cards are dealt, no one walks away clean. Power always asks for proof. And for Benny Binion, proof comes in the form of risk. Blood Aces moves deeper into the heart of Benny's rise, showing how ambition alone is never enough in a world where everyone is hunting for leverage. Texas may have taught him how to survive, but survival is not his end goal anymore. Benny wants permanence. He wants to build something that cannot be erased, something that will outlive every enemy who doubts him. But the higher he climbs, the more dangerous the ground beneath his feet becomes. Benny quickly learns that money is not the real currency of power. Fear is. Respect follows fear, and loyalty follows respect. This is a lesson Yellowstone fans know well. Just like the Duttons learned that their enemies wear suits as often as they carry guns, Benny realizes that his greatest threats are not the loud ones. They are the quiet men in expensive rooms, the ones who smile while planning his downfall. Every deal he makes tightens the rope around his neck, and every victory invites new challengers who believe they can take what he has built. The tension sharpens as Benny begins to transform gambling from a street-level hustle into a structured empire. This is not luck anymore. This is strategy. He creates rules so that he can control who wins and who loses. In doing so, he crosses an invisible line. He stops being a criminal chasing profit and becomes a kingpin shaping an industry. That shift changes how the world sees him and how it comes for him. Law enforcement watches from a distance. Rivals test his limits. Friends start questioning whether standing beside him is worth the risk. What makes Benny dangerous is not just his intelligence, but his emotional restraint. He does not act out of rage, he acts out of calculation. When he punishes betrayal, it is not loud, it is final. When he rewards loyalty, it comes with strings attached. This is where Blood Aces mirrors the soul of Yellowstone most clearly. Power is never kind, and mercy is often a weakness disguised as virtue. Benny understands that hesitation can cost him everything, so he trains himself to move forward without looking back. But ambition always leaves scars. As Benny's influence grows, his personal life begins to collapse under the weight of his choices. Trust becomes impossible. Love becomes dangerous. Anyone close to him becomes a potential target. The isolation that comes with power settles in quietly, turning success into a lonely throne. Just like John Dutton, Benny starts to realize that winning often means standing alone, surrounded by people who need you but do not truly know you. The pressure intensifies when Las Vegas enters the picture, not as a destination, but as a promise. Vegas represents everything Benny believes in: reinvention, excess, and opportunity without limits. It is a city that rewards boldness and punishes weakness, a place where morality bends to money. Benny sees Vegas not as a gamble, but as destiny. And once that idea takes hold, there is no stopping him. Every move he makes now is about preparing for that future, even if it means burning bridges behind him. By the end of this section, the stakes are no longer small or local. Benny is no longer fighting for survival, he is fighting for legacy. And legacy, as Yellowstone has taught us time and again, is the most dangerous thing a man can chase. Because once you want to be remembered, you are willing to sacrifice everything else. Las Vegas does not welcome outsiders. It tests them. And for Benny Binion, this city is not a dream fulfilled. It is a war waiting to happen. Blood Aces shifts into its most dangerous chapter as Benny steps into a place where ambition is common, but survival is rare. Vegas is louder than Texas, faster than Dallas, and far less forgiving. Here, power changes hands overnight, and legends are either made or erased without warning. Benny understands this immediately. He does not arrive as a gambler chasing luck. He arrives as a builder, determined to bend the city to his will. What makes Vegas deadly is not the flashing lights or endless money. It is the men who believe they already own it. Crime families, business tycoons, and politicians all claim pieces of the same territory, and none of them like an outsider rewriting the rules. Benny's presence disrupts the balance. He introduces order where chaos once ruled, and that alone makes him a threat. Just like the Duttons protecting their land, Benny protects his vision with absolute force. He does not ask permission. He creates systems so powerful that others are forced to adapt or disappear. The emotional weight of this section lies in Benny's transformation. The man who once relied on instinct now relies on discipline. Every move is calculated, every risk measured. He studies his enemies carefully, learning their weaknesses, their egos, and their fears. And when he strikes, he does so without hesitation. Violence in Blood Aces is not random. It is purposeful. Each act sends a message. Control belongs to those who are willing to take it and keep it. Yellowstone fans will recognize the familiar moral tension here. Benny's rise brings stability, but it comes at a brutal cost. The city begins to thrive under his influence, yet the bodies pile up in silence. Success becomes a double-edged sword. The more indispensable Benny becomes, the more dangerous it is for anyone to challenge him. But that also means the consequences of failure grow heavier. One wrong move now could destroy everything he has built. As Benny's empire expands, so does the loneliness that follows him. Power isolates him further from the world he once knew. Trust becomes a memory. Relationships turn transactional. Even victories feel hollow because they demand constant vigilance. This is where Blood Aces mirrors the tragedy of Yellowstone most deeply. Power protects what you build, but it also consumes the man who builds it. Benny starts to realize that there is no finish line, only the endless pressure to stay on top. Vegas pushes Benny to his limits, forcing him to confront a terrifying truth. The city does not care who you are or how much you've sacrificed. It only cares whether you can hold control, and control in Vegas is never permanent. Enemies regroup, laws change, loyalty fades. Benny may be winning, but the cost is becoming unbearable. The very system he created now demands more from him than he can safely give. By the end of this section, Benny stands at the peak of his power, and closer to collapse than ever before. The Empire is real. The legend is growing. But so are the threats, both seen and unseen. And just like every great Yellowstone story, the question is no longer whether he can win. It is whether winning will destroy him. Every empire reaches a moment when strength turns into pressure. For Benny Binion, that moment arrives quietly. There is no explosion, no dramatic warning, just a growing sense that control is slipping through his fingers. Blood Aces enters its most intense phase as the very systems Benny built to dominate Vegas begin to work against him. The city he shaped is no longer just a weapon. It is a living thing, hungry for more, demanding constant sacrifice. Success has made Benny untouchable in public, but dangerously exposed in private. His name commands fear, yet it also attracts attention he can no longer manage. Law enforcement tightens its grip. Politicians who once benefited from his influence now look for ways to distance themselves. Rivals stop challenging him directly and start attacking the foundations of his empire instead. This is not a war fought with bullets anymore. It is fought with paperwork, investigations, and quiet betrayals that leave no fingerprints. For Yellowstone fans, this shift feels painfully familiar. Just like the Duttons facing enemies they cannot shoot or scare away, Benny realizes that brute force no longer guarantees survival. The rules have changed. Power now comes from perception, legality, and influence behind closed doors. And this is where Benny begins to struggle. He understands violence, he understands fear, but this new battlefield demands restraint, something that does not come naturally to a man who built his empire by never backing down. The emotional core of this section lies in Benny's inner conflict. He has everything he ever wanted, yet nothing feels secure. The isolation he once accepted now feels suffocating. The people around him speak carefully, avoiding truth, hiding intentions. Loyalty has become a performance. Even those closest to him are calculating their exits. Power has turned him into a liability, not a leader. And deep down, Benny knows it. Vegas continues to thrive, but it does so by slowly erasing the man who made it possible. The gambling world grows larger than Benny himself. Poker becomes a global obsession. The World Series he created takes on a life of its own, detached from his control. This is the cruel irony of legacy. Once it becomes bigger than you, it no longer needs you. Just like Yellowstone's land attracting forces beyond the Duttons' control, Benny's creation now invites players who do not fear him the way the old ones did. Tension builds as pressure closes in from all sides. Legal threats grow louder. Allies disappear. Mistakes that once would have been buried now resurface as weapons. Benny's health begins to reflect the stress of constant defense. The cost of never showing weakness finally reveals itself. And yet, surrender is not an option. Benny refuses to fade quietly. He has spent his life fighting for control, and he will not give it up without resistance. By the end of this section, Blood Aces reaches a breaking point. The Empire still stands, but the foundation is cracked. The myth of invincibility is gone. Benny is no longer just fighting enemies, he is fighting time, change, and the consequences of his own ambition. And as Yellowstone has always reminded us, the most dangerous battles are the ones you fight when you are already tired. Legends are not remembered for how they lived, they are remembered for what survived them. Blood Aces reaches its final chapter by stripping away the myth and leaving only the truth. Benny Binion stands at the edge of everything he built, watching the world move forward without waiting for him. The power he once controlled now exists beyond his reach, shaped by forces he can influence but never fully command again. This is the price of building something that changes the world. Benny's story does not end in victory or defeat. It ends in reckoning. He is forced to confront the reality that legacy is not loyalty, and control is not permanence. The systems he created outgrew him because they were designed to. Poker became global, Las Vegas became immortal. The empire succeeded so completely that the man behind it became almost irrelevant. This realization hits harder than any enemy ever could. Benny understands that his greatest achievement is also his final loss. For Yellowstone fans, this ending resonates deeply. Just like the Duttons fighting against time, modernization, and inevitability, Benny's struggle is not against a person, it is against history itself. The West he conquered no longer needs conquerors. It needs managers, regulators, and faces that can sell stability. Benny belongs to an older world, one built on risk and dominance. And that world is fading. Yet Blood Aces does not frame Benny as a cautionary tale alone. It honors his impact. Without him, Vegas would not be what it is. Without his vision, poker would not command the respect it does today. His flaws are inseparable from his success. The same ambition that destroyed his peace is the ambition that reshaped an industry. In true Yellowstone fashion, the story refuses to simplify him into hero or villain. He is both. He always was. The final tension lies in acceptance. Benny does not beg for relevance. He does not chase redemption. He stands by his choices, fully aware of their cost. That is what makes him dangerous until the very end. He may lose control, but he never loses identity. The world moves on, but it does so in the shadow of what he built. That is his victory. Quiet, complicated, and undeniable. Blood Aces closes not with spectacle, but with meaning. It reminds us that power is temporary, but influence can last forever. That the West did not disappear, it evolved. From open land to neon lights, from ranch wars to poker tables, from cowboys to kings of chance. This is the Yellowstone spirit reborn in a new era, carrying the same blood, the same fire, and the same brutal honesty. And in the end, one truth remains unshaken. The house always wins, but only because someone was brave enough to build it.